the United States or the world. But if history is our guide, there is reason to be concerned.
Joining me now is the best-selling author of The Great Influenza, John Barry. He's also a professor at Tulane School of Public Health and Practical Medicine. Mr. Barry, thank you, sir. So let's start the question this. You may be the world's foremost expert in at least studying pandemics that we've had here. So let me ask it this way. Compared to where things were in the 1918 pandemic, where are we collectively as a globe? Are we a third of the way through this, halfway? Do we have our arms almost around it? Not quite. How would you describe, big picture-wise, where we are in society today, at what point in time we would be in comparison to the 1918 outbreak?
Well, on the one hand, historians don't like to predict, but unfortunately, I'd say we're still pretty early in this. It's the first couple of rounds. Sorry about
no worries
that.
There. That's okay. I think our viewers have a lot of patience these days. We're all learning these different video devices. Let me ask you then this question. The issue of reopening the economy, this was an issue back then. I mean, in some ways, some of the issues that politicians ran into in 1918, 1919 are the same things we're seeing play out now. I mean, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Well, that's exactly right. The biggest, God, I'm so sorry.
That's all right there. Again, let me let you get one more shot at that. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. No, this is probably the worst interview I've ever had. Really apologize for that because I forgot the question. Trying to turn the phone off.
All right. We will start it over. Essentially, some of the political hand-wringing that's taking place right now is very similar to what happened in 1918. So I'd love for you to compare and contrast it, and what lessons should politicians from now take from then?
Well, the lessons are pretty simple. Tell the truth, like your facts over fear, the slogan that you displayed, and the social distancing. You know, it worked in 1918. It's working now. I think one of the biggest management problems here is the length of time it's going to take for the coronavirus to pass through both an individual and a community. The biggest difference between 1918 and today is the speed. Influenza has a much faster incubation period, roughly 2 days usually. This is closer to 6 days. That's triple. Everything slows down. Influenza passed through a community in 6 to 10 weeks, and then it was largely gone. That is not going to happen with coronavirus. When we do release, when we start back up on the economy, there will, clearly be an uptick. The question is how carefully we control that uptick, right. Whether it becomes a huge surge or whether it's something that we can keep some kind of containment over, as South Korea did. Although, South Korea and the other Asian countries, they are now seeing a major resurgence. They're still ahead of it, but it is coming back there.
John, I'm curious on the societal impact. There's this assumption that somehow if the president or governors say, hey, the economy's open, that maybe a switch gets flipped. But the public seems to be more hesitant. And I know plenty of people who are like, I'm not going out until there's a vaccine. How much of that did impact the pandemic back in 18 where people were hesitant to engage at first? Well,
until it left the community, you had incredible numbers of absenteeism for most industries. The places where we have good data are actually like shipbuilding, which was a war industry. And there the absenteeism, even though the workers had medical care at work, which was not available in the civilian community, and even though they were told they were as important as soldiers on the front line, you still had 60% absenteeism. They were either sick, caring for someone who's sick, or afraid. So in the other industries that were not war industries, did not offer medical care, did not push the patriotism. The absenteeism was much greater than that. So you had railroads that were not running because there weren't people to service them, engineers and so forth. You had farmers that were afraid to deliver crops. You had stores that were not open. Fear is a pretty good enforcer.
It sure is. John Barry, I'm going to leave it there. The book, Great Influenza, The Story of the Deadliest Pandemic in History. Boy, I implore people to read it right now. It has been very helpful to me. Your expertise in this is going to be very helpful for a lot of us, Mr. Barry. So thanks for coming on and sharing your perspective. You know what? It happens, and I think hopefully it makes us all smile. And it can be a charming thing at the end of the day. We got the information that matters the most. So thank you, sir.